Hi there! Welcome to this tutorial on altering a zipper pouch. Now, it is amazing the things you find at Target. If you have a Target, if not Michael's or other types of stores like the Dollar Tree or discount stores, oftentimes have bins where you can find some really cool stuff. And I often will go in there and look around and see what catches my eye and think later I can alter it or do something with it. I found these little pouches. There were actually a 2-pack. I'm pretty sure I got these at Target. They were 2 for $3, so they were only $1.50 a piece. And I thought I can probably do something with these eventually. And I figured out something. It came to mind when I recently released my new Art Pop line, Art Pop cards from In the Garden. And I thought, why not merge fabric and paper together? And so I did and created this little altered pouch, and I'm going to show you how I made this. Now the pouches, again, they came in 2-packs, so I'm going to try to do, eventually I'm going to do the small one too, but I'm going to work on this large one for now. And if you don't have this particular pouch, it's no problem. You can just find something that you have. You could even, if you're resourceful and can make your own, then you can sew your own out of maybe some really thin cotton and make your own pouch. But these were very inexpensively made, so I thought they were perfect for this project. Now to start, in order to do the stitching, you have to pull it inside out. You have to take it inside out. And these are kind of weird. They're lined with this bright plastic. It's almost like a windbreaker kind of fabric. And what you'll want to do is kind of over to the corner. I didn't go all the way around and remove the stitching, but I did go over into the corner. And the reason for that is you're going to need to remove the stitching if you're starting with one that's already made, so that you can put it into the sewing machine. For part of what we're going to do, we are going to do some hand stitching as well as some machine stitching. So if you have one that's already been manufactured, you want to turn it inside out and go ahead and remove the stitching from roughly the corner all the way around to about the other corner. And just be very gentle as you remove the stitching. Now, once all the stitching has been removed in those areas, you want to gently fold it back to where the right side is facing out. And I'm going to keep the hem folded under for now, just for now. So what you want to do is decide what you're going to place on the front. And again, this tutorial is about using my Art Pop cards, merging fabric with paper. Now to tack this in place, I'm going to use gel medium. I think for this project it works better than just a glue stick. I'm going to try to avoid this top part and this bottom part a little as much as I can, because I'm going to be using the sewing machine to tack that part of the card in place, right here at the top and right here at the bottom. So just be careful. I know my sewing machine does not like going through a real heavy adhesive or a gunky, it gets gunked up very easily. So I'm just going to use my palette knife. You can use your fingers, whatever works for you, to apply some gel medium. You can use whatever adhesive you have that works for you. I'm just going to use the gel medium. I found that it worked really well to hold this in place, at least while I'm working on it and even after, because you don't want it to be, you know, pulling up. But I try to avoid that top part and that bottom part as much as I can. Now the reason I kept the hem is so that you can eyeball or measure exactly where you want this to be. It's a little easier than having the hem released. All right, so now I just spend a little bit of time just working with it and pressing it in. Make sure that it dries and is secure, and it should attach pretty well. And so the next step is going to be to do the stitching. Now I'm just doing a simple straight stitch. You can do whatever kind of stitch you want. We're going to come back in after and add some decorative embroidery hand stitching, but at the top I'm just going to do a straight stitch back and forth probably 3 or 4 times, go over the edge of the card just a little bit, and then we'll finish those 2 parts off. Now, opening up your bag enables you to put this into your sewing machine, and it will also make it easier to do the hand stitching when we get to that part. So again, I'm using black thread, straight stitch, and just take your time with this and attach your card now to your bag. Okay, so now we're going to go in and we're going to add the embroidery stitches. And I have black embroidery thread for this step, and it's 3 strands, but you can use more if you want it to be a little thicker. And I've tied a knot in the bottom of it, and then I just have this loop, or tail here at the top. So you're not doubling it, you're just using 1 strand. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go in, and this is where we're going to stitch the X's. And you can do this, you could do any kind of decorative stitching that you want to, but I like the way the X's work. And so you're just going to come up through the bottom and go through the Art Pop card, because you want this to touch not only the bag, but also the card. And I really like this. Actually, it was by necessity, really. When I was thinking about making this, I thought, well, I'll just stitch the card on all the way around the edges. And then I realized how difficult it was going to be to, without undoing the sides of the bag, which I didn't really want to do because you've got this little tab here, and then you've got the zipper, and I really felt like it might be very difficult to do. And I thought, well, I can definitely stitch the top and bottom in, but what about the sides? And I was like, nope. And this came to mind, and I thought, wow, and it really makes the bag look even better to have these 2 different types of decorative stitching on here versus just the 1. But again, you can, depending on your bag, you could stitch all the way around the edge. But for me, this was by virtue of necessity and making it easier, and this is what worked out. So I'm just going to do 3 on my bag. And then on the inside, I know that you can't see this. I'm going to try to show it to you as best I can. I just come into one of the loops that I've already made. Actually, I'm going to make this even easier. I'm just going to go through the lining as well as the loop so that I catch a little bit more. And then I've created a loop. I'm going to go back through that loop. Let me show you again. I'm going to go through the lining a little bit, definitely through that stitch, and then I've created a loop here that I'm going to go through. You might find an easier way to do that, but that's the way I do it. And then cut it off. I'm going to leave a little bit hanging there, and then I'm just going to retie it and do the other side. Doesn't that look pretty? And then now just do 3 more on the other side. Now for the last knot, I went ahead and turned it inside out because I have to turn it inside out now to sew it back together. So that just made it a little bit easier. I can go ahead and turn it inside out, or right side in, and then go ahead and tie this off. And then that way I'm all ready to sew the next step with the sewing machine. And this is a little easier to tie off when you have it right here in front of you rather than trying to look at it from the inside. Let me do one more here just to make sure I got that secured. Okay. All right, so the next step, I'm going to go ahead and trim off on the inside here some of these extra threads just to make this a little easier to sew. All right, so now when you take a look at this, it should be pretty simple to go back in now and put it back in your sewing machine and sew the hem back on. I'm gonna tuck those in. Okay, so now if you need to put some pins to hold it in place, do that. I'm just going to put a couple in here. It wants to flip back open, so let's just put a couple of these in here, and I think that will hold it in place and make it a little easier. So I'm going to start, let me move this one down a little bit. I'm going to start on, since we cleared the stitching from here and then went around, I'm going to start at the end, and I'm just going to follow the exact same path of the stitching. Ooh, make sure this hem is sticking out. There we go. Make sure it's flat. I'm just going to follow the same stitching line that I took out and make it simple. You just put it right back in, stitch right back over where the stitches were, and it's that simple. Again, straight stitch, and I'm just going to keep the black thread in. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, that you have a different color in than the cream color or whatever color was used. So again, straight stitch right back inside the sewing machine and go all the way around the edge. Okay, I'm going to take my pins out, and now everything has been stitched back into place. Looks good. Did a pretty good job getting that close. All right, so now gently and very carefully you want to turn it to where it's right side out again. Just be really careful because obviously the card is paper and it can bend. My Art Pop card, it's not super thin, so it does work well for this, but just be careful when you're doing it. Poke your little corners back out. And I like these stitches here just kind of free. I don't really want to trim those off. There. Almost finished. Look how pretty that is. You completely changed it with just a few alterations. Yes. Okay, so let's do a couple more things. I thought this was kind of fun. I found this in my stash. I think this is Prima Marketing. It's an old trim that looks like flowers, and I thought it really was pretty. You might have something in your stash. You can use an artificial flower. You can go in and find something, I'm sure, or nothing. You don't even have to add this if you don't want to. And I'm going to trim out a piece of this. And I thought it looked really pretty on the right there. I think that looks really pretty on that little circle. So I'm going to use that. I don't know, I might want to find a better one. I think I'm going to find a better flower. That one just didn't seem to lay down very well. Let me go with this one. Yeah, that one looks a little better. Okay, now for this I'm also going to use the gel medium. Once again, it just holds things in place a little better, and it will, once it's dry, it'll be permanent and in place. So this is a very thin kind of organza fabric, I guess, and it's pretty sheer. So just, you don't need a whole lot if you use something like this. And then just press it in place. Once you've added your flower, the last step is to add some ribbon to the tab. Now, if you don't have one of these tabs on your bag, you can certainly add the ribbon to the zipper pull. But since I have a zipper pull and a tab, I'm going to show you what I did for the embellishments on my bag. Now I'm using 2 pieces of sari ribbon. You can use any kind of ribbon. I just found some that coordinated nicely with the colors of the bag and the card. And then I'm just going to slide the ribbon up through the little hole in the tab. And then I've created this loop, and I'm just going to pull those tails back through and then just gently pull to create the tightening here to get this to hold on here. That's it. That's all you do to get that on there. But again, you can use any kind of ribbon or string or whatever, just whatever you have in your stash. And that looks really pretty. And if you don't have one of these tabs, you can add the ribbon right onto the zipper pull. So for my zipper pull, I'm going to add, it's not really a bead. I think I got this at an antique store. It's, I think, a strand that came from a chandelier. I'm honestly not sure, but I thought it was really pretty, and I just thought it was really nice to contrast with the rest of the bag. So there's a little metal loop, I guess, at the end of it, and then there's this other loop at the top. So quite simply, I'm just opening up the little loop here, this little piece of metal with a plier. And then I'm just going to attach it, and it might be a little easier to do it this way. Attach it right onto the zipper pull, just like that. And then I'll use the little tool here to close that loop. And then that will be secure, that will secure it onto the zipper pull. It's very old, actually. This little metal piece is pretty rusty, but it works. Okay. You can use anything, really, any kind of bead or embellishment that you might have in your stash, you can use for that. And now you've got your bag. And the ribbon on it. So that's it. That's all you do to finish that off. That's it. I love it. I think it looks great, and it's really pretty. And we've taken a very inexpensive bag and made it beautiful. So don't forget to dig through some of those bargain bins at your local favorite stores. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And I look forward to seeing if you create anything using my Art Pop cards. I would love to see what you do. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it, and have a great day.